Welcome back, everyone, to the Screening Club podcast, where we break down the latest in entertainment each week for you. I am here, as always, with my two associates, my brother Chris and our good friend Mike. How are you guys doing?
What up? Doing good. How are you?
Doing pretty well. Been watching a good amount of TV this week.
A lot has come back. One show in particular has gone away, but more will follow in its path.
It's very true.
We'll get into that.
Yes. Are you talking about the young pope?
Oh yeah.
A little bit of a crazy ending. Open-ended ending.
Yeah, I was on Reddit the other day, and I was looking at the television subreddit, and someone posted an article about how the young pope, despite HBO's power work to get it big, is actually did very well. Did okay. Like, it didn't do amazing, but it did enough that it would...
It had a good amount of buzz.
Like in ratings,
I would say.
What do you mean, despite HBO's work to get it big?
Like, HBO didn't really do a lot of big marketing for it.
So despite HBO's lack of work.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I think it was pretty much generally, everyone seemed to like it, right?
Yeah.
It's been renewed.
It's been renewed, yeah.
And I really liked it. I mean, those last handful of episodes, especially to me, were very good. I was very pulled into it. But we'll get more into that later.
Spoiler-filled dive later.
Anything else happen with you guys this week? The teeth are healing up.
Teeth are healing up. I'm putting Mike on the spot. He went into a float tank.
No.
I did.
What's the story of that?
He got... Our friend Sean that I go to the float tank with, he got sick of us hearing about how we love the float tank.
It was a spite float?
And he got peer
Let me
pressure
just
into going
say,
with
these
us.
two take their floating very seriously. Probably past the point where it's fun to be around them while they experience it.
That's because you shit on it the entire time.
I like to make jokes, okay? And they don't appreciate my jokes.
Really? They get very serious when you talk about the float?
Well, Mike did zero research on the experience before going in. He had no idea what was going to happen.
And you have to do research?
No, but he would ask us questions that seemed to convey that he thought he was going to be completely submerged in water with some sort of breathing apparatus.
That wasn't the case.
It is not the case. So we were dismayed a little bit about how little research, nary one Google it had seemed. But I think it was on the whole, positive experience for you.
But let me just double check here. Was it a spite float? You only did it so that you didn't have to listen to them.
It was not a spite float, no.
Why did you do it?
I was open to it. I was open to the new experience, and I wanted to see for myself what it was like. I don't think I came away nearly as enlightened as they did on their first floating experience.
I think what you mean to say is not nearly as enlightened as they think they are.
Possibly.
Probably the same level of enlightenment.
I mean, they really seem to connect with the experience of floating on a level that I don't think I could ever achieve.
Well, as the great Joe Rogan says, it's like peeling off layers of an onion. So every time you go into the tank,
you're just sort of lying there on your back,
the onion, baby,
in this really salty water for an hour. And the salty water sometimes gets in your eyes, and in your mouth, and in your nose, and it is painful, and it's extremely distracting from this meditative experience.
Him about.
Did that happen to you, Chris?
Well, not the second time, but the first time it did. But they give you a bottle of some liquid some sort of
solution to wipe your eyes away. But if you get that solution in your mouth,
somehow it got in Mike's mouth. I don't know.
Why don't they have you wear a damn mask?
Because it's all about.
I think we should wear some goggles.
Well, you can if you really want. You can wear a bathing suit in there if you want to. But it's all about disconnecting yourself and being in a sensory. Now, see, whatever I talk about, Mike laughs.
Well, no, it's like disconnecting myself, but there's this constant fear of getting this stuff in your mouth.
But there isn't though. You're the water only comes up to like here.
So it didn't happen to you?
Not the second time. The first time the first time I was worried about how long I had been in the tank, so I got out and I peeked my head out, and when I peeked my head out, the water that was in my hair had dripped down to my eyes. So I was, it's a learning experience. Next time that didn't happen to me because I knew about it.
So it stung your eyes?
For like a second, and then I sprayed it with the thing, and then I wiped it off and went back in the tank.
Yeah, okay.
Somehow Mike got it in his mouth.
Did you complain, Mike?
No, I didn't complain.
But you thought about it?
No, I didn't
You
think
mean
about
complain to like the place?
Yeah.
It's all his fault.
Was it the same place?
Oh yeah, there's only one place in the area.
Wow.
I guess there was one in Manchester.
I heard our friend Tony is building his own. If you guys want like a more
in
like a
his
lower
basement?
cost,
Some people have some people do they rent them out and they have them in their.
You probably could create your own. I mean,
I don't think
with limited resources.
But I don't think you're understanding how serious the filtration and cleaning systems in those things are.
If it's just your own personal one, you probably don't have to worry too much about.
Yeah, but you want all bacteria to be gone because you don't want it to grow in the tank while you're not there.
Yeah, I know.
There's a reason why it takes an hour to clean up.
Tony's tank actually embraces the bacteria, and another thing is,
Tony's
as a security feature, he stares at you the whole time to make sure that you're okay. It's a security feature.
There's a camera in the tank.
But that reminds me of, have you guys, Mike? I know you don't watch Always Sunny, right? But Chris, have you seen any of the new season?
No, I haven't seen any of the new season.
I think it's the second most current episode. Is like a classic. Like it is one of the classics. But the episode before that, there is this shot that just had me cracking up where, I mean, I don't want to spoil it for you, but it's just like a shot. Like the idea of the episode is Dennis is being investigated for a murder. And it's in like the style of like one of those reality TV shows where they're being investigated. But he's like doing a great job with the investigator, and like they're kicking it off, and like then the investigator's like voicing it over, and he's like, then I left and I thought everything was fine until I reviewed the tape after and saw one of like the craziest, like most like disturbing things I've ever seen. And as soon as he leaves, Dennis is laughing, like he made a joke with the guy or something, and then he turns to the camera and immediately gets completely straight faced and just stares directly into the camera, and then doesn't leave. And then the tape fast forwards, and it's just like several hours of Dennis just staring dead eyed into this camera, and that's the look that Tony gives you when he's watching you in the tank. But anyway, yeah. Well, that sounds like a good experience. Congratulations, Mike.
Yeah, congrats, Mike.
Thank you.
And you'll go again, maybe?
I'm not in any rush.
And maybe one day it'll just say, man, I'm stressed out. I'm going back. Going back to the tank.
I feel like I'd prefer to just go get like a massage or something.
Is there any like...
Each their own.
I actually felt like physically tired from being in that thing for...
Unless you... Apparently when you sleep in there, it's like supposedly like very good sleep, but the thing, at least my friend and I are trying to do, is we're trying to like be introspective and trying to like look within ourselves, and that can take a lot out of you. So I think that's what you're feeling, Mike.
No, I was just really tired.
Because when you're constantly thinking about going through things in your head for like literally an hour straight with no breaks, it can be. But let's move on to a show about looking within oneself.
Yeah,
we've all
like, our friend David could get something from a sensory deprivation tank.
Yeah.
I watched. We're talking about Legion.
Yep.
I did watch the first episode.
Okay.
You guys have watched 2 now, right?
Yep.
Don't mind spoiling it.
Sure.
So let's dive in though. So that first episode, it was pretty good. I don't know, it was pretty good. Mm-hmm. I wasn't. It was a pretty good setup. Mm-hmm. A pretty good set. I mean, I'll definitely watch more and see where.
Were you impressed by like the scope and the visual ambition of it?
Yeah, scope and visual ambition. Yeah, I mean,
that's a yes.
What?
Yeah. I think it was. I guess I haven't really thought about it too much since I watched it, other than I just sort of came away like
ambivalent to it.
Like it was pretty good. Like, yeah, there was a lot of cool stuff going on, and like, were you talking about specifically like the visuals that were in that
there were
episode?
a few scenes throughout that pilot episode that were pretty amazing. Just on a
Let's talk about them, please.
What?
I want to hear you talk about them. What you liked?
Just the caliber, the execution of them was really impressive.
There were those two long takes, which you had warned me about, which I
mean,
did really
that
like.
scene in the kitchen where like everything within that kitchen sort of
flies around,
exploded and floated around him like that.
Yeah.
That long take at the end with the like battlefield with all his new friends.
I did like that battlefield scene, except for the guy that just like flings his hand at people.
Yeah.
And they fly off. I thought that was a little cheesy.
Wasn't a
Everything-
great effect.
Yeah, but everything else I really liked about it.
So all the people that are like in the background of scenes sitting down are supposed to be fake, right? Like those are just things in his mind.
What do you mean? Sitting like at the institution, like you don't like all the.
Well, I noticed everywhere he went, there would be like weird-looking people sitting in chairs or standing in corners and stuff like that.
In the greenery. Did you see him? There was like the guy in the greenery, like standing like up against a wall. He's in like the background of shots, which I think is what you're talking about. I think in each scene, I think you're right. There are a few people that are just in his mind that seem to follow him.
Is that what they're supposed to be? And they were in like a bunch of scenes, so like I
Yeah.
saw like right at the beginning there were like weird people sitting in chairs in the back of the room when he's being interviewed, right in like that opening scene. And then I noticed it for the rest of the episode. Like every time he'd be talking with someone, there'd be like strange looking people sitting in chairs or standing in corners in the back.
I had a question about this show. Mike and I had a disagreement about when do you think this show is set? Like what time period?
Okay, well you guys have watched more, but it definitely seemed to me like it was pretty modern to me. Like
That's what Mike. I thought it was.
think it is modern.
I thought it was set in the 70s.
I think where you're getting that from is all the scenes
visual
in
aesthetic.
the mental hospital. They're all wearing very like drab, dated clothing that would suggest they're in the 70s, or some sort of like
Even, like, when his
utopian
sister- when
like
his sister
alt
comes.
version of the 70s.
I guess you're
Kind of
right.
like from Clockwork Orange.
I think you're right. I think you're both
But
right. Yeah.
there is some modern technology being used.
was there modern technology? I'm just trying to think.
Yeah, the interrogator had some sort of iPad or tablet device.
Okay.
Also, Chris, is that a New York Giants shirt?
Yeah, man.
What is
Check
this?
this out.
Chris, screw you.
Look at this.
What is this? Why?
Like, you didn't get that at a store. You specifically went, like, online.
No, I got
You
it.
went shopping around.
They don't sell those around
said,
here.
I want this.
Hey, check this out. Got this at a thrift store.
No, you didn't.
Yeah, I got it at Savers.
Well, okay, that's a little bit better than what Mike was thinking, but still.
The Giants didn't get any money for this, if that's what you're thinking.
Well, Savers now knows that they should stock more New York
You really
Giants.
got that at Savers?
Yeah, some dead man. Wow, was a
Chris.
New York Giants fan.
That fits you well, too.
Wait, but why? You still said, "Oh, let's get this shirt." Would
like the
would you
Giants.
have done that if it was an Oakland Raiders shirt?
Yeah, I like the Raiders.
So you were just in the market for a NFL team shirt.
Yeah, I have a lot. You guys know this. I have a lot of. I wear Browns shirts. I wear Chargers shirts.
Yeah, but the New York Giants have a certain cachet in this area, Chris.
Well, you know what? I will say that
Giants are a sensitive spot for many of
I
us.
will say that I'm a lot less happy with the Giants now that friend of the show Victor Cruz is gone.
But did you see what happened as soon as they released him? His Wikipedia page. Did you guys see this?
Oh.
His Wikipedia page was edited to say that he was new wide receiver on the New England Patriots, but it was taken
I
away.
can see it. Let's see it.
But I think,
He'll get a workout with the Patriots.
Yeah,
I mean, he's a UMass little boy.
it's true.
What can you do? But anyway, Chris, let's keep those type of shirts. Keep them to yourself in the future.
call
What
that
did you think of
censorship.
episode 2, Chris?
So episode 2, it was interesting because from the looks of all the trailers and stuff, you would have thought that multiple episodes would have been inside of that asylum with the
Right.
But the asylum now is beyond us, and we're in Summerland, what the place is called, and it's a little bit. It made me feel like, okay, there's this like other X-Men, this other school for
Shadow X-Men.
Yeah, school for gifted individuals that this mysterious woman runs, and it was cool to see they have their own little devices, kind of like Cerebro, like the thing that they held on to, and they could go into the dream artist's
That's pretty cool.
place.
Memory work.
Yeah.
That sounds like the Scientology machine.
It actually looked
It
similar.
looked a lot like
It looked
a
similar.
Scientology auditing machine.
It was
Really?
It was a big table, silver table, and across the table at each setting was two.
Maybe that's
things you
like the
hold on to.
desired effects of the Scientologists. When they,
Or maybe they just
hang
wanted
on
to
those-
convey,
those
like-
metal bars.
like the cultist nature of this new thing that they're attached to. By the way, it was cool to just go back into his dreams, or his memories, even though we're not 100% sure whether these memories are 100% true, or if they're things that he's creating in his mind.
I just love the idea that Gene Smart's character laid out at the beginning about how like just reframing your own personal story and narrative. Like he spent his whole life thinking he was this mental patient suffering from schizophrenia, but unbeknownst to him, he was just an extremely gifted mutant, and his whole life he suffered as a result of thinking he was one thing when he was really another. So it's really cool to just go back and through all of his memories as a child and as an adolescent to see all the incidents in which he thought he was suffering from his mental illness were really just a result of his power, and to just sort of reframe that is a really interesting idea.
That is cool. Is the woman from Parks and Rec still here?
Aubrey
Plaza?
Aubrey Plaza, yeah.
Yeah, she's a series regular, even though she died in the first episode. She's still appearing in flashbacks or visions.
And, visions.
I was wondering that because she said in an interview, like, it's only going to get crazier on Legion.
I would say this episode was not as intense or...
There was no, like, big action piece or
no
anything.
huge action set pieces.
You're telling me there was nothing on this episode indicative of what time we're in? Like, there was no cars?
They were in...
Episode 3 I'm going to be watching very closely. I really haven't thought too much about it.
After this episode, I'm going to be doing some Googling. But, no, in this episode, they're in, like a camp out in the woods.
It's almost like they're really trying to
It's
hide
really...
it.
It is vague.
Maybe pulling a little M. Night Shyamalan. Everyone's familiar with how he's messed around with time periods before. Shout out M. Night. But, so anything else happened in this episode?
His sister got kidnapped.
She was kidnapped? Did I forget about that?
Remember, the sister came to the mental hospital and was like, "My brother's been here for years, blah, blah, blah." And then one of the weird villains took her, and then he tried to leave. And then his girlfriend convinced him to stay and hone his powers so that they can all save her together. That's probably going to be
I'm noticing
the
that when I
force of the
watch
season.
shows really late at night, right before I go to sleep, I tend to forget certain details about them.
It's alright, I got you.
Join the club.
Happens a
I
lot.
got you.
That happens to me no matter what time of day. I'm watching. But yeah, I'll definitely catch up to you guys for next week because it seems like it's going to be pretty cool, and we can discuss it. Any thoughts going forward for us to think about?
I did want to ask you one quick question about Legion, Jeff.
Yes.
If you didn't, you might not know this answer. Because it's what if. If you didn't know it was X-Men related, do you think you would have had a better experience? Like if you thought it was this mental patient show, and then at the end, like all this crazy stuff happened.
Yeah, it definitely would have been more of like a, crazy thing.
Yeah.
Better. Yeah, I think so. Although I'm not sure I would have been watching it if it wasn't didn't have that.
Big X-Men fan.
No, but I think it's cool to have that as.
It's true.
You know, I at least want to check it out with people saying that it was good and having that backdrop. But yeah, that would have been more crazy if it was first just in a psychiatric hospital. But yeah, very cool. So we'll keep up with it, huh?
Oh yeah.
Let's do some quick hits.
All right, so I can start off with quick hits with Walking Dead returned for its
Congratulations, Chris.
mid-season premiere.
Chris, saw your article. You were very excited, huh?
I am. I'm struggling within myself because there's only so many times you can say this episode was good and I have hope like for the future. Like it's really might be turning around. There's only so many times you can say that until you have to say this is a good show on TV. That's what I'm struggling with right now because it was a good episode.
Because you think it was gone.
Next week that it's going to revert back into their patterns.
They always could.
Just, usual crap that you've been dealing with.
The crux of this arc is they need to take their time and they need to let the pain linger.
Does this show still feel as though it has like a reason to exist beyond just the fact that it makes AMC a shitload of money? Like, is there any reason beyond that fact that this show is still a show that exists to tell a story about these specific characters?
Yeah.
Yeah?
Yeah. You should
like,
watch
is it really... Could the show have ended like 3 years ago and we'd be the same, but none the wiser?
That's a good question. I mean, there is
hesitations.
I've said in the past, there is a cyclical nature to The Walking Dead, where it's like survive, interruption, fight back to peace, survive.
Do you think so? Are you thinking it's only still on TV because it's so popular and they just want to milk it?
I think that's a huge reason. It might still be on TV now if it wasn't as popular as it is, but I'm thinking like 3 or 4 years down the road when we're in like season 11 and the show's still super popular, like we're all going to be saying, man, this show should have ended like 3 years ago.
Well, I think way down the road the show will evolve, and Robert Kirkman, the creator of the comic and producer on the show, has said that the comic would go on even if all the main characters died. If Rick died, the show would go on. So I think it's possible for like the Rick arc to end and the show to continue.
Chris, don't these comic books just go on and on though? Like,
yeah, comics are a world where comics are insane. Like like characters die, but they always will come back. Big things happen because it's all a big circle and things get refreshed all the time. But actually, speaking about the Walking Dead comic, they put out, in an effort to get readers to read the comic, because there's so many more people watch the show than read the comic, they put out a 25-cent issue to kind of get in a new kind of okay starting place.
Yeah.
And that was pretty interesting. So everyone go and get that comic.
Do you know how it sold?
I don't know. I did buy one.
And how was it?
I didn't read it.
Do you plan?
Because I'm not up to date on the Walking Dead comic.
No, what? Well, so Mike, you don't watch it, but you used to watch it.
I've only seen the first season.
Wow.
Which is like 6 episodes.
But Chris, you also seem like you've lost faith, and then you're confused.
For a while, it's just been a really fun show that I don't really pay that much attention to, and now it's really fun, but it also has a good storyline. Like one of the funnest zombie action scenes I've seen in a long time.
Funnest?
Yeah, like something really cool.
So what are your thoughts moving forward for us?
Hope.
Hope for the characters or just for you as a viewer?
Rebellions are built on hope.
Oh my God.
Hope for the show.
Let's not go that far. Let me do a couple quick hits here. First, one that's not listed on our show outline. Sorry, friends. Last night, I watched the new John Wick. I'm going to be writing an article about this. Mm-hmm. Won't go into it because are you guys John Wick fans?
Mm-hmm. I haven't even seen the first one. I'd like to, though.
Watch it, dude. It's awesome.
It's pretty good. I really was a big fan of the first one. The second one was not as good, but pretty good. John Wick, do you know anything about it? It's probably better if you go in knowing like as little as possible.
Keanu Reeves plays a cold-blooded killer.
Well, he's a crazy guy.
Mows down a lot of people, shoots a lot of people in the face.
Oh, yeah.
They upped that in this in this movie.
Good.
But it also is so like, to me, like the movie is like aware in like a good way. Like they play around with it and it's like a little bit jokey at times. Mm-hmm. Like just the way that everyone talks about John Wick is very like he's just this crazy guy that like
mythical figure. Yeah,
like we all have no hope. Like it's just John Wick is John Wick. But what I really do like about that movie is like this whole little like this, well, not little, like this expansive like underground world thing that they've built around it that they went more into in this second movie. Just like, you know, there's like sort of like a safe house type thing where like even if you're having like a fight to the death fight with someone, if you're on the grounds of this location, like you can't fight. It's like very like sort of gentlemanly code type thing. Yeah. But yeah, really cool stuff. If you like action stuff, this is the place. This is the place to get like just hardcore Keanu Reeves brawl, like crazy guns, cars, and like fighting.
I like it.
Yeah, I like Keanu Reeves.
He's a good guy.
He's a really cool guy. Let me also quickly just give myself a quick hit. Goliath. This show, God, Chris, I know you've watched a bit of it.
Yeah.
I finished it up.
Nice.
Wow, how many episodes? 10?
30.
Aren't they?
No, no it was actually 8. It was only 8.
Half-hour episodes, or am I wrong about that? Some Amazon show.
I think that they're all between 40 and an hour. I think.
It was it's transparent that it's half an hour episodes. I do some Amazon.
I went through. I've done this in the past. Like I finished it up. Well, I only finished it up yesterday, but I went through the whole gambit with this show. Like I came in, I was like, "What is going on?" I was like, "This is crazy," and I even texted you guys. I was like, "This show is like crazy awesome." Then I went through this roller coaster of like, you know, like I can't wait to see what's going to happen. Like this is crazy. Like the whole, like the story is just crazy. And then like towards the end, I was like, oh, now I like sort of don't want to watch because then I'm not going to be able to watch more. Like it's just going to be done when it's done. The show, without spoiling it, as you guys haven't watched the whole thing, all I would say is I love the story. Billy Bob and the rest of the acting is really good. I would just say at times some of the characters are a little bit, you know, like you've mentioned at times about Taboo, Chris, but you sort of mentioned like the king as far as like his costuming as cartoonish.
Like over the top.
Some of these characters are a little bit like that. Like there's like a bad guy who's very sort of like over the top a little bit. Although towards the end, I think they sort of, you know, once you understand more.
Sure.
And then, yeah, for the most part, I think like everyone in that show does an awesome job. Like I'm buying into everything, the story, just in general, really cool story, really great acting in that show, and like I'm just looking forward to season 2. I'm really happy it got picked up.
All right,
I would check it out, everyone.
Goliath.
Check it out. We'll talk more about Goliath. How about a little Taboo, Chris?
Got a little quick hit for Taboo. So, Taboo working its way on its 5th episode, and this episode, you're okay with light spoilers, right, Jeff?
Whatever you want. Yeah.
This episode, we got so close to Tom Hardy going to America. He got some boats.
Is that in America?
No, he's in England.
He already tried to get a boat.
There's a lot of Americans.
Is that like a big story for him? Is that he's trying to get to America?
He's not trying to get to America. That's like the thing like that it makes sense that he would be doing next, but he's trying to make a deal with the Americans because the Revolutionary War is about to end. He's trying to make a lot of money off of selling things to the Americans.
He owns land that would be very enticing to both the Americans and the British governments.
Yeah. So he got some boats. He sold some gunpowder. And then, right when he was about to leave, one of the guys from the company came up and said, like, the gloves are off. And one of the boats, like, exploded.
Oh my God. Didn't almost the same thing happen?
No, he blew up someone else's boat.
Okay, yeah.
A lot of boats exploding in the show.
Yeah.
But there's some really, like, hardcore killing in this show, in this episode. He was betrayed. He figured out how the boat thing happened. He was betrayed. And someone got pretty fucked up for that.
Oh my God.
And then it was just, the thing I liked about this episode is that a lot of it was a good episode 5 because a lot of the arcs in the first half of the season were pushed to the side, and now we're moving forward. Both people, like, main characters got killed, and those storylines are done, and also big story moments happened. So you should definitely watch it.
Very cool. Yeah, I'm only one episode behind, so I'll make sure to catch up. It is a really good show. Mike, you should hop in, man.
I think I'm a little too far behind.
Hey,
Well,
never say never.
Yeah.
that's what they said about
Goliath.
Is that what they said?
They said it
really?
could never be done.
They said it.
Goliath, though, is really good. Like, Goliath is one of the, like, coolest shows I've seen in a long time. But very cool, Chris. We'll talk more about that.
How about some quick hits from Mike, who's been silent?
My turn?
Yeah.
No, I think we've actually got to let's just keep
true.
let's just keep rolling right by him. We have a good flow going. No, Mike, please tell us how about this. This Is Us.
This Is Us, yes. I've talked sort of periodically about This Is Us. I think Chris even gave it a shot back in its beginnings. Is that correct, Chris?
Yes.
Chris just tuned me out.
We were about to. I said yes. What are you talking about?
To be fair, we got the Tune Out King right here.
know,
We
I
were
know.
about to talk. This Is Us. I don't watch that show.
I know.
Yeah, but he asked if you ever watched
And
it.
I said yes.
Yeah, but it was pretty clear that you were just like you paused and
For
you
all
just,
of our listeners, you can go back about a minute and hear Mike ask me a question.
More like
and
30 seconds.
And I say yes.
Yeah, but if you were here with us, you would see that Chris was looking directly down into his phone and did not even acknowledge at first when Mike spoke. And then only after like a solid 5 to 10 seconds of continuing to finish whatever he was doing on his phone did he look up, not even, I don't think, look you in the face, but sort of like look off to the side and then say hesitantly, yes.
Well,
so it's unclear
that's your
to
side-
me at
that's your
least.
side of
Chris
the
Moore
story.
staple.
That's your side of the story.
But Mike, please, yes.
Anyways, This Is Us. It's in the home stretch right now of its final season. I think there's maybe 3 episodes left to go.
Final season, what?
Of an 18 episode season. You guys should catch up.
This is not the final season, though, is what you just said.
It's in the final stretch of its first season.
Oh, okay,
Of
okay.
its debut season. And I would say it's on really just solid, stable ground. And it continues week after week to just deliver these really poignant, emotionally charged stories about this family on a really just interesting level. This past week dealt for those who aren't familiar with the format of the show, it crosses between each episode crosses between the present day lives of these characters in their 30s and flashbacks of their parents raising them as children.
Oh.
Sort of the theme of each episode. And this week it really kind of cemented this long story it's been telling about brotherhood and the relationship between these two brothers, one of which is black and was adopted. And it sort of climaxed in this really touching scene in which the Kevin character abandons his responsibilities to this play that he was performing, and to be there in support of his brother who's sort of suffering from crippling anxiety, and as a way of like making amends for his failures to do so while they're as adolescents in the flashback scenes of the episode. And I would call it a series high point. It was really cool, and I was really impressed with it. And just there are other stories. Some don't work as well. Some aren't firing on highest cylinder as others. But there's just a lot of goodwill that's going for the show right now. And, I'm excited for the final three. The father, the Jack character, we learned very early on, passed away in the flashback. Let me rephrase. The adult characters in present day, their father, Jack, who we know as a very well-formed character in the flashback scenes, we know that at some point in the past he died. Mm-hmm. And we're sort of been working towards finding the truth of how he died over these last few episodes. So that's going to be a huge thing, I think, in these final three, learning just exactly how he died. So I'm excited for that as well.
Great stuff, man. Yeah, I mean, it does sound good. Maybe we should enter into sort of like a bartering type deal where we say, okay, Chris and I will watch 3 episodes of This Is Us. Although it sounds great, you watch maybe what were we talking about? Taboo. You know, like maybe start with 1, do an even trade, and see if we can.
I'm okay with that.
Buy
that.
into it. We'll see. We'll see if we can. We'll have to draft up a legal document just to make sure we have all of our bases covered.
We'll post it on the site.
Yeah, we'll post it on the site. But cool. And then you've also you've been watching Girls.
Girls is back this past week for its 6th and final season. Chris, you watched Girls once, right?
I like the first episode ever.
Really? That's all you gave it?
I think so, yeah.
You had enough of Lena Dunham?
It wasn't bad, but it didn't stick me.
Okay. Well, yeah, it's back, and with a really just funny, solid episode of Girls. This is the final season, like I said, so we're really sort of entering a period in which we're starting to see these characters mature a little bit. I mean, as best as they possibly could. This episode, we saw some professional success for Lena Dunham's character, Hannah. She finally got an article published in the New York Times. She's an aspiring writer, and she was hired as a freelancer to spend some period of time in the Hamptons in some sort of surfing class, and to write about the experience of being around all these housewives, sort of learning how to surf for the first time. And it starred guest star Riz Ahmed from The Night Of, from Rogue One. Wow. It's just sort of this ditzy like surfer bro.
Was that the male lead in Rogue One?
No, he was the pilot.
It was the guy that got like the monster like zapped his brain.
Oh, the pilot.
Yeah.
Oh, okay, cool.
Yeah, and he was her love interest throughout the episode, and he was really funny.
I think it was just a 1-episode arc.
Yeah, I think we've probably seen the last of him, but he's just a really impressive actor, and he's had quite a year. Mm-hmm. Quite a year for him. We also touched in with Adam Driver, star of another Star Wars movie, the main Star Wars trilogy, Kylo Ren, rocking his just luscious Kylo Ren locks. Like, man, I'm really envious of that hair. But you could tell he's in like full Kylo Ren hair mode, like as he like appears throughout the show.
Yeah.
And some of his scenes with his screen partner, the actress who plays Jessa. Disney probably doesn't like seeing their star doing some of the things that he does in the show. But yeah, Girls is Girls, and it's really just solid footing right now, and I'm excited to watch this final season.
That's awesome. That's awesome. How many seasons?
6.
So we won't be catching up with you anytime soon. Sorry, Mike.
That's okay.
Let's talk about something we've all watched. Mm-hmm. Talking, of course, about DS. No, I'm just kidding. But DS is coming back. Just wait for it. Let's talk about the young Pope.
Yep.
Now, Mike, you've told us that you have watched everything.
I was 4 episodes behind, 2 weeks behind if you're going by the way HBO distributed them.
Yeah.
And yeah, I marathoned the final 4 episodes in the past 2 days.
You did it.
And as Chris mentioned earlier, that's a lot of young Pope in such a short amount of time. He's not sure if he would have been able to do it. And I'll be honest, I struggled. Like, that is not the most just
binge-worthy show.
Binge-worthy, interesting moment-to-moment show. And it can be really just drab and boring. I don't know. Yeah. In spots. It just doesn't catch your attention as much as other shows.
It really does have a lot of aspects of like a European or like an Italian like indie like film to me, except for it starring Jude Law.
Yeah. Well, it's a show where you have to really pay attention and like.
You have to immerse yourself in the world of
and there are multiple
you can't just
scenes,
sort of watch it.
Yeah, there are multiple
passively.
Scenes per episode that are completely in a foreign language. So like you can't. It's not a good binge watching show.
I'll tell you guys something. It's not a John Wick spoiler, but John Wick goes to Rome, and they are like at the Vatican, and when they were panning like the establishing shot or whatever, I was like, I know this place very well. Like I've seen these shots a couple times.
Maybe they're in the same universe, cinematic universe.
Well, I really want to tell you guys one thing about John Wick. It's just a joke, so it has nothing to do with it. So I guess small joke spoiler for John Wick. There's like. The secret underground society that exists in New York exists worldwide, so there's another one of those hotels in Italy. And he goes in and he's like, oh, John Wick, like a Italian guy walks up and they sit down and he just goes like, are you working? And then, John Wick goes like, yeah. And then he goes, I only have one question. And then he says in Italian, are you here for the Pope? And then John Wick pauses and goes, no. But I was like, man, that could sort of fit with the young Pope. So it's interesting that you say that, Chris. Who knows?
Yeah.
But anyway, the episodes 7 and 8, those were the episodes where he is that when he goes to Africa, and then the next one.
I think that was just 8.
Yeah.
So the one before that.
7, it might have been spoken about.
Now, Mike, you probably didn't realize this, but I played a big joke on you. Chris, do you know what I'm about to say?
Yeah.
When you hadn't seen those 2 episodes, I said to Chris, what do you think is going to happen in the relationship between Lenny and Andrew, the guy that died?
His childhood friend.
And Chris knew.
Wasn't his name Spencer?
No, Spencer died too, but we're talking about the guy that was his childhood friend.
I thought his childhood friend's name was Spencer.
Cardinal Spencer is the old guy.
Unless maybe that's his last name.
I can look it up. I'm pretty sure his first name is Andrew.
Anyway, bottom line is, it was a funny joke that we played.
It was a funny joke.
He was dead.
We both knew that he died, Mike. Do you even realize the joke that was played on you? Well, no diss to you, because it couldn't have even gone over your head. It was that good of a joke. Like, you didn't even know. Like, it wasn't even a go over your head joke. It was just a nice moment. And then I got to watch Chris, like, squirm because, like, he didn't want to react to ruin it for you. So that was pretty good. Let's see.
Well, let me first ask Mike, do you agree with us that the tail 4 episodes kind of move the season along in a different way, where you kind of saw the light within him a little bit?
No, I don't agree.
Okay.
I thought the final 4 episodes were more scattered and sporadic and inconsistent than the previous half of the season. They just sort of, as time wore on, I just sort of lost patience with the show. And I ultimately wound up admiring it and respecting it more than liking it or enjoying it. I mean, that's putting it kindly, I would say. Yeah, I don't know. I didn't really understand the arc that Lenny went on from the beginning to the end. I never got good insight into what he was thinking or who what was really going on with him. I never understood. I never understood his motivations for why he did the things that he did.
Well, do we have to understand?
I mean, yeah. I think for the star of your show and for your audience's ability to relate and care about your star, you have to understand their motivations. And I never got that with him.
I mean, he's an orphan, Mike.
That's not good enough.
Well, I think where you would relate is a lot of his problems are stemming from him being an orphan and him having this feeling that he's been missing something, and that there's these answers are out there, kind of similar to the knowledge that is out there with his family.
Why did he want to bring the Catholic Church back to the Stone Age? Why was he so ardently against homosexuality and
because
abortion?
Cardinal Spencer, his spiritual father, he was extremely conservative. So that was just his upbringing within the church, was because he was under him, who was very
conservative. It felt like an act to me, though. I never felt like he
was crazy.
See, that's interesting.
He was a crazy guy.
Your take on it was interesting. My take on why he was so conservative is because his family, basically the only thing he knew about his family was that they were hippies, that they left him. And then his answer to that is to swing in the completely opposite direction and be extremely conservative.
Well, just to be clear, that was sort of my screen bet when we spoke with a friend of the podcast, Colin Smith, who plays Lenny's father in the show, was that something would happen during his childhood that made him go off the deep end of conservativeness, which I think is also after watching it, I think that is part of it too. I think he probably bought into what Cardinal Spencer was doing more because he wanted to go as far as he could on that side. Also, I've just looked it up. So the red-haired cardinal, his name is Andrew.
Oh, I'm sorry.
James Cromwell's character is Spencer. It's Andrew Desollier. Okay. I don't know how much they say his.
But isn't his Cromwell's character first name is Michael, isn't it? Is his last name Spencer?
Yep.
Okay.
Cardinal Spencer.
Got it.
Yeah. Okay.
Good joke confirmed.
Yep. Good joke confirmed. I think, come on, you have to admit, when the episode where he goes to Africa is crazy. It was so good. It was good.
The final moments are crazy.
But
I'm not so sure.
He's just this entity.
The episode itself was that crazy.
Isn't it? And Chris, I think you know a lot more about the Pope and the Vatican as far as this group of people here. Isn't that sort of thinking about how the Vatican and the Catholic Church and the Pope are in real life? Haven't they traditionally been shrouded in a good amount of mystery? That's sort of what he is, right? We're getting to see this this very all of this stuff that we would never be shown, and he's just crazy. But doesn't that sort of echo the real life? It's possible, and there probably are people that are in leadership roles in the Vatican that are crazy.
There are some theories where why for so long was the Bible only printed in Latin? Why do priests speak in Latin? And some people feel that it's because Latin isn't very well known, and especially back then, I'm talking like 1,000 years ago, people didn't know Latin, let alone they couldn't read Latin, so they couldn't read a Bible, which meant anytime you wanted any spiritual guidance, whether it be like, what's this passage say, what happened in the story of your life, you had to go to a priest, and they were the one conveying it to you.
Yeah.
And right when, like, basically when the Gutenberg Bible came out, right when the Bible or any religious text was written in the common tongue, that's when you start getting, like, offshoots and people starting to say, oh, well, you know, I take this passage as meaning this, or it says here. You don't become the go-to, you don't become the be-all, end-all for anything. And when Lenny adds this mystery back into it, it brings this air of mystery and wanting to know what he's all about that you could argue has been lost in the modern day times of the Vatican, and it's definitely good marketing if that's what he's going for.
Well, I think he definitely was sort of explicit about going for at least most of that, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
What do you guys think about how some of these, because I know you think, Mike, that we didn't get a lot of answers as far as him, and I agree. Although I think we did get a little bit. Like, it's just, I think that's just who he is. Like, he doesn't really know. Like, he knows he has his beliefs. He knows that he doesn't know who his parents are, and he has that missing piece of his life. Like, he knows that he, you know, like, all of, like, sort of the stuff with that young couple and their baby and stuff. Like, he has these, like, instances of, like, extreme compassion and caring, and then, like, so much of him is also just, like, a crazy, like, ass. Like he's just has all of these aspects to him. I think it's just a guy that, like, and I think he admits as much, like, he just doesn't know.
In the end, why did he allow himself to be seen in broad daylight with all the cameras watching, all the people gazing at him? Why did he arrive at that place?
Well, because he was ultimately inspired by that story of that other young girl, right? That Sister Mary was talking about, or was it the other guy that was talking? Yeah, the other guy told him about it.
Yeah, they were trying to make the little girl into a saint, and he was like.
And to be fair, like, I feel like he's been inspired by things before, but he just hasn't been able to push himself, like, to give himself the internal, like, this is what I should do. Like, and I think that story, like, didn't he, like, copy exactly what she said? Like, his speech was just reading her words, right?
Yeah, it wasn't a copy. He was, like, quoting.
So I think that's, like, still, it wasn't even really him. Like, he came out into the light, but he was just saying what this other person said. But I don't know. I think we're definitely still, and I know that you guys don't watch as much of the after the episode interviews they do with Sorrentino and stuff, which I love bringing up. But they were talking with the showrunners or whatever, the team, and Sorrentino said that at the very end, we're not supposed to know if it's his parents or not. We're not supposed to know sort of what the ending is. Also, the ending was like, so, like, first of all, the end at the very end when we are coming back, I thought that was pretty good. Like, but just,
it's like the end of book 1.
I did love he takes out, like, his little telescope. Like, he's just panning the crowd.
I did like the scene when he was given the telescope. He was like, this says it can see for 150 meters. And the guy's like, and he's like, thank you. And then his friend is like, all these people really want to see you. And he's like, no. I will not turn around.
I just thought it was so, like, he's still, even in this last episode is when he shit on the trip to go and actually see, like, wasn't he was going to go on a trip to go and actually see where this girl's, like, village was or whatever?
I think so, yeah.
And he's still, like, he doesn't go, and then his excuse is just like, they'll understand soon or whatever.
Yeah.
And I mean, okay.
Well, when a miracle supposedly happens, the Catholic Church sends out an emissary to confirm the miracle. Like, they gotta be like, all right, this is a real miracle. So I'm sure, like, I'm sure the guy that was talking with Lenny wanted to be like, wow, it would be like a great honor if you.
I remember that happened on Lost. I remember Mr. Echo was sent to investigate a miracle.
There you go. Yeah.
Shout out Lost. Do you think... Okay, a couple questions. First, Chris, not to get too religious or anything here, do you think if what happened in this show happened in real life, that Lenny is actually being helped by God? Like, do you think that he's performed miracles?
If you want to get super... I think in the universe of the show, he's definitely... God is present, and he has some force with God. If that's what you're asking.
Okay, so if this was real, then he would legitimately have performed these miracles through God.
In the universe of this show. If that were to happen like right now, I'd say, how could you prove that it was God that did that and not some other entity? Like, say, maybe the devil.
Okay. Even though, like, these things directly happen, like when he gets down, he prays to God, asks for something specific, and it happens.
Yeah.
And he's the Pope.
Sure.
Okay, a couple of things we didn't get to talk about last time about episodes 7 and 8. But first, I love just his overall, sometimes you'll forget, like, he's an American and it's Jude Law. And then, like he'll be doing all this Pope type stuff, and then, oh, you're supposed to go and help these children, and he'll just be,
and I'm your tour guide.
Yeah. And I love how he got, like, wicked pissed at the kids, and then, I'm joking. Okay, kids, we're gonna go eat hot dogs. And then something like that happened when they were traveling to Africa that I'm forgetting about.
Well, it was revealed that woman was, like, hoarding all of the water. And he had to, like, do, like, he killed her with his power, right?
So you think within the universe of the show, as you say, that he did kill her with his power?
Oh, yeah.
So he does have power.
I don't know if he has power, but I think that that God has listened to him and God has smote people.
Do you think, in the universe of this show, what would happen if it was Lenny Belardo versus John Wick? Who would win?
John Wick.
John Wick would shoot him in the face.
Yeah, but it's been proven that Lenny Belardo has the power of God.
Yeah, but it takes time and, like, energy to summon the power of God.
That's true.
Like, he really needs to go for it.
Also, who's to say John Wick doesn't have God on his side as well?
Because if you're going to kill the Pope, you don't have God on your side.
What if the Pope's bad?
Yeah, well, that's, I think, a central question
Bad
of this
Pope,
show.
season 2.
Okay. Another minor miracle. Man, at the beginning of that one episode, he stays underwater for like 30 minutes.
It's slow motion.
That man was underwater for
Why did he never mourn the loss of his foster brother? We never really saw that on screen. Like, he never...
That is true.
Never really cared.
Yeah, did we never get his reaction to Andrew's death?
He might have been like, well, at that time, his foster brother turned his back on the church, right? And flew and, like, ran off.
That is true. I think he specifically told him not to do that.
So
right?
he might have been like...
That guy was a mess.
That guy was a ladies' man.
And a man's man.
And a
man's man.
He was
a party animal.
And that the son of that woman that tried to seduce him at that house, tried to rape him.
That was, I know, like, obviously it was bad, but, like, that was so random.
Was he successful in raping? I couldn't tell.
No.
I could not believe what was happening.
That guy was in the crowd, too.
Really?
I saw his face as Lenny was, like, panning the crowd.
Yeah. Okay.
That
So
guy
when
was
that
scary.
happened, obviously, like, that is a horrible, horrible thing. But I was like, could anything else, like, just crazy happen to this dude? Like, he's already, like, completely, like, wasted and getting driven home, and, like, he's had all these, like, little, like, mini affairs with people and all this stuff. All of a sudden, like, weren't you just like, what is this guy doing? like, no, like, this has already gone too far. Like, how much more can this guy take? And then, in fact, it did end up that he was killed. So he took even more. Like, this man's life is just, like, so insane. Like, he's a cardinal. He's a cardinal.
Oh, boy.
Oh, man. Does everyone at the Vatican smoke, do you think, as demonstrated in this show?
I'd say it's probably less and less as time goes on. Bet the Pope doesn't smoke.
The current Pope himself?
Yeah.
The young Pope does, though.
Damn straight.
So what did you guys think about... I mean, we also had sort of tying up Sister Mary's story. She was sent
away to fill the void of that woman that he had God murder.
Yeah. Hopefully he doesn't... Man, can you imagine?
I don't know why
God?
Sister Mary would be interested in something like that.
That's a great work.
It is. I could totally understand if she's just devoted to that, you know?
She has the cozy, like, luxury of the Vatican. Like, well,
What if she wants to help people?
Going to go live in some remote African village.
Well, first, she has no choice, right? But then second, she clearly was happy with it. I could see, like, she spent her whole life helping children. She wants to go, and she'll go and help them. So that was... Any other, like, endings that we experienced?
One of the final scenes with Voyello, who I thought was the MVP of the season.
Yeah,
I liked him a lot.
he was really good, yeah.
When he's talking to that disabled boy, his best friend. So I thought it was really funny that he kept referring to him as his best friend. Where he sort of teased the mystery of that man that disappeared. I forget his name.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know what I'm talking about?
Donnie or
The
something.
man who...
The goat guy?
The goat man.
Yeah.
Who vanished and, like, people were investigating the disappearance of Voyello. It's like, I could never tell you what happened. So it was kind of revealed that he had something to do with his disappearance, but just
saving it for season 2.
Yeah. I think, that whole... Man, Voyello has so much going on, too. He just wants his power, and Lenny's not...
And he was working so hard, like, in the service of undermining and... of undermining the Pope with the intention of, like, removing him from that position. And then that just kind of dropped. I don't know what happened to it.
Well,
the
young Pope was proven to be unblackmailable.
I understand that, but then
it's true.
I think it was episode 7, and then he was like back on the
case.
On the case. With that flash drive.
That did happen a couple times,
like,
yeah.
Where's this coming from? I thought you already stopped this mission of yours.
He did say...
Why are you back on
He started up and said he was going to stop multiple times. But then, then it got to the point where, also multiple times, he had a direct conversation with Lenny about it, where Lenny, for a little while, Lenny was nervous. There was a time where he was, afraid he insinuated they might poison his food and stuff, that whole thing. But, yeah, once he came out and said, as Chris so eloquently put, he was unblackmailable, there was just nothing else to be done. He's just this entity. It really is pretty crazy. But what did you guys take away from that final scene where he may have seen... definitely saw his parents, but then also saw either his parents or old hippie couple?
I saw that as a reflection of the speech he should have made at the beginning of the series. And how he's come full circle to... He's found his way through these waters, and now he's reached the place where he should be, and hopefully he will continue to be in the next season.
That may be true. I don't think it was earned, though. It was not an earned arc.
Okay.
What do you think was the deal with...
Ultimately did.
Not everyone was smiling. He commanded them all to smile, but not everyone was. Shouldn't they all have been plastered with a smile on their face? They're there to see the Pope. This special day, he read this thing that gets everyone pumped and then commands you all to smile, and then some of them aren't smiling.
Well, maybe some of them were true believers when he was all hardcore, and now he's turned their back.
Maybe, yeah.
I will not smile.
I think he, Well, do you guys think it was his parents?
I think it was his parents, yeah.
I think so, yeah.
Well, Paolo Sorrentino came out and said that it's unsure. Even in his view, it's unsure.
Okay, Paolo.
But maybe we'll dive more into it next season.
Maybe.
I'll be looking forward to it.
Me too.
Mike, what if they dig into the things that you think they didn't get into?
I mean, yeah, by all means. I'm not sure I'll be watching, though.
All right. Well, maybe we
Fair
can
play.
enter this into our negotiations, which we'll post online live at ScreeningClub.com. Speaking of online, Mike, where can we find you online?
Twitter at linguistics_screeningclub.com.
Chris?
Twitter.com/ThatMorris and ScreeningClub.com.
You can find me at therealjeffmoore.com, and of course, on ScreeningClub.com, you can join us for more articles, insight, and to share your thoughts. And if you have any questions, comments, or thoughts that you'd like to send to us by email, you can email us at screeningclub@gmail.com. Other than that, guys, thank you for joining us. We have some cool stuff coming up next week, so make sure to engage with us, and we will let you know. And until then, have a good week of watching, and we'll see you next week.